Hey guys, this is Grimlok 24, and I'm bringing you another video. Another kind of how-to video. On this one, I will be killing a Barioth, who is a snow monster, so you will be fighting him in the tundra. Barioth is weak to fire, so if you can, it's good to bring a fire weapon. I prefer using the longsword on Barioth, and the reason for that is because Barioth is a very fast monster, and between the weapons that I use, which includes longsword, hammer, and switch axe, longsword tends to be the fastest, and I'm the most comfortable with it, so it's usually what I use in a Barioth. So let's go find him. Barioth you can find him most often in 2, he nests in 6. But you'll find he'll go anywhere from 3, 4, 2, 7, or 6. He might go to 1, I can't recall, but that's not an often place that you'll find him. So you'll definitely want to check 2 first. Check out 7. Usually he'll have left 6 by the time you get there, so I don't usually check that place first. I think he starts in 6 pretty much every time, but then by the time you get there, he'll have left and usually goes to 2. So we'll check out in here. Yeah. He's definitely left here, so let's check 2 again. There he is. So he'll come down here, and as you see, he's an ugly giant snow lion saber-tooth thing. And what I do for Barioth is, as with mostly any monster with a tail, you'll probably want to try to work on cutting that off first. So that's what I'm attempting to do, at least, is take his tail off. And one thing I will point out is this is a low-rank monster. I am wearing G-rank gear. I put on a slightly weaker sword so that he doesn't die instantly, but if you watched the Wraith video, you'll notice the Wraith died in like 5 hits, which isn't quite what I was trying to accomplish, but that's okay. So anyway, I'm going to try to kill him. Now you'll notice that Barioth is extremely fast, and that's what I was mentioning earlier. The reason I like to use longsword is he's so fast. You'll always want to stay moving, of course. That's a move to look out for. There's that hip check. He loves doing that hip check. And the main thing you can do for that is just keep moving, try to move away from him and to the side. Now for that tail sweep, notice that I dodged directly through it because I have evasion. If you don't have evasion, then you'll obviously need to run away from that. Preferably, if you don't have evasion, what I would suggest is anytime you have the opportunity to, sheath your weapon and stay sheathed. Yeah, as one of the viewers has mentioned, that hip check is a lot like the Bestiary hip check. That means it's the man, because Bestiary isn't. But that's a different story. So, if you don't have evasion, I would absolutely recommend sheathing as often as possible on Barioth, because you definitely want the mobility of being able to sprint around and stay out of the way of his attacks. If you have evasion and you're pretty good with being able to dodge through stuff, then you can be a little more lax on that. You can dodge through a lot of his attacks. The easiest one to dodge through is that tail swipe. It's pretty easy to see coming. Sometimes he'll catch you like that anyway, but that's okay. It doesn't do too much damage, so you should feel. That attack right there that he just did is another one that you really want to look out for. It does a lot of damage, and it's easy to get hit by. He likes to do it a lot after that little sideways turning jumping pause he can do several times. So you'll want to be careful of that. Another reason to always be sprinting is it's a lot faster to get out of the way of that forward jumping sprint that he does. So, yeah. I'm just going to keep doing this shoulder check some more. When he does that shoulder check like that, it's a good opportunity to hit him on his hands, which is another place you'll want to focus on. If you don't have time to get to his tail, you want to try to hit him with his hands. And I will let you know the reason for that once I get this tail. I'll try to get that here. One bright side to this attack that he does is it leaves him pretty wide open for a tail attack. So if you haven't cut that off yet, then that's a good chance to do it. And oftentimes he'll do this right after that dashing attack. He can just sit still for a second. See, hey, come attack me. So you'll definitely want to oblige him there. And be careful at the end, on the last little leap. You'll notice his tail sweeps over to the left like that. That will do damage to you if you're standing there. So try to keep that in mind and stay out of the way of it if you can. It's very low damage, so it's not the end of the world if you get hit by it. But, of course, you don't want to get hit by anything, so there's that. So now we got his tail. Now what I'm going to do is try to work on his hands. Or his wings, whatever you want to call them. The reason that's important is you probably notice that he loves doing this sideways jump, that right there, and that can be a pain. It's his best tactic for catching you off guard. He can jump out of your camera view with it really easily, and he will often do his forward sprint right after it, and put in some pretty good damage on you without you even being ready for it. So what happens when you break his wings, you'll notice the way you can tell when you've done this is you'll obviously hear the normal cracking noise, and you'll see pieces fly off, and then you'll see the spike and break off, and then he'll fall over on his stomach, kind of struggle for a little while he's on his stomach, and that's a good opportunity to hit him in his main weak point, which is his face. But really the lasting reason that you want to break his hands is when he does that sideways turning jump move. If he turns the correct way, that one of his hands, alright, there goes one of them, so now he's struggling around, and I'll deal some damage to his face. His tusks, so just to point out, his tail can cut, both of his wings can break separately, and then his tusks can break. But, back to what I was saying about another positive thing of breaking his hands is when he does that sideways turning jump. If his hand is already broken, then, when he tries to do that jump, he'll kind of lose his footing and stumble, and he loses all of his timing out of it. So if you have both of his hands broken, then every time he does this sideways jump, then he'll stagger, and it's a real great chance to do some damage to him, or just not let him do it. So at this point, I've got both of his hands and his tusks, and see, right there, his sideways jump, and he staggered, so he lost all of his timing there, all of his element of surprise, so to speak. Another thing to point out is he's hungry right now, or out of stamina, rather. And when he's out of stamina, he will very often just kind of sit there like this. Even though his animation for that doesn't last very long, it's still a good time to get in a few attacks before you get out. Yeah, as one of the viewers has pointed out, he's got a lot of plesiot attacks with hip check, and he's kind of the same type of species archetype of monster is Nargacuga, so he moves very similarly to Nargacuga if you are familiar with that monster. Okay, so don't be very sharp fix that. But yeah, you'll notice that you just have tons of time when he's hungry. He just sits there for a minute. It's a great opportunity to do a lot of damage, but now he's in range, so I have to start watching out again for his little dashing attack. That's where he'll really catch you off guard and do the damage. Now he's limping, he's getting pretty close to death. Just with any monster, like with any monster that flies, just watch his shadow, see where he goes. He's going to 1, which I think is where he'll try to eat. I guess he would rather eat than try to survive, so that's cool. He's not doing it right now, but one thing to be careful for with Barioth is when he first enters a room, if he's still in the air when you enter the room, then there's a good chance that he will try to attack you from the air. Sadly, he didn't actually do that to me in this, and I'll probably kill him before he gets a chance to try. But hopefully you can remember that and keep that in mind. You'll definitely remember it after the first time you see it if you don't. He kind of doesn't move like that. He just did, only he won't have landed yet. But, yeah. That's pretty much all there is to the Barioth fight. Basically, make sure, use the fastest weapon that you're capable with. You know, if you ask me what weapon should I use for this monster, what weapon should I use for that monster, I'll tell you 100% of the time, use the weapon that you are most comfortable with. Because every weapon will work on every monster. You just have to get used to that monster and make that weapon work. In this case, for Barioth and some of the other faster monsters, I will say use the fastest weapon that you are comfortable with. So, if you are comfortable with dual swords, that would be fantastic for this fight. If you're comfortable with long sword, that's of course what I use. So, there he just flew away. He's gonna go nest, which is in room 6. So, you can either go through 7 to 6 or to 3 then 5 and 6. Either way, it's a decent little trot, but not too bad. And once again, another general monster tip, if you're kind of new to the game, is if a monster is escaping to sleep, if they get to if what you know is their nesting area, then oftentimes, if I'm already right outside that nesting area by the time they leave, then I will give them some time, half a minute, for them to land in here and fall asleep. You don't want to just rush right in here before they get to sleep so that they start attacking you. And the reason for that is, if a monster is asleep, then the first attack on them to wake them up deals massively increased damage. I can't remember the exact number, but it's something like double or triple. So, you know, you want to let them get to sleep and hit them with your biggest attack that you can at the start. You get a bunch of extra damage on them. It's extremely useful. This is awesome for, okay, 3 times damage is one of the uses, let me know. So yeah, that's huge. If you're using a great sword, just do a full charge shot, then like half the time, you'll just kill them right out on that attack. They won't even get to wake up at all. So that's a really useful thing to put into practice. So, there you have it. That's kind of the broad strokes of this fight. This tends to be one of the more difficult fights for new players, just because his speed can really take you off guard. But if you just, you know, stick with it, practice him a lot, preferably use a fire, preferably use a fast weapon, then yeah, you can take him down in no time. Just try to put into use some of the tips that I gave you, and I think that you will be just fine. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, hopefully it will be helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or just say anything at all. And you can also catch me on my stream at twitch.tv/Grimlok24. I try to stream mostly every night. And yeah, there you have it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.